And right now, we continue our live team coverage. We've been bringing you all morning, all day long, with crews covering every angle of this collapse. We want to begin with anchor Ken Rice. He is out at the bridge site tonight. Ken.
Kim, Christine, it's interesting the way the day has evolved. The first thing we heard about was a bridge collapse, and then we began to see the images, and it looked horrific, and people feared the worst. We feared injuries, perhaps fatalities. Then we got word that everyone survived. At first, the understanding was all minor injuries. Now we understand some not so minor. A couple of people with fractured vertebrae, they're being treated. These injuries serious but survivable. But only within about the last hour did we really finally get the final word from the city that an additional search for any other victims had only then come to an end. So throughout the day, there was still concern on the part of first responders that there may have been people unaccounted for, perhaps who were walking along the trail that goes beneath that bridge, or had somehow come into harm's way when that bridge collapsed. They weren't sure, again, until just about an hour ago. The fire chief telling us all clear, now moving from a potential rescue strictly to a salvage operation. Ross Guidotti was one of the first people out here today. I want to know what went through your mind when you first got out here, and what was the first thing you saw or heard?
The first thing I saw was the bridge, and the first impression I had was, like many people, how did no one get killed in all of this? But that is what happened, and it has a lot to do with the fact that the bridge, as we would find out just a couple hours ago, kind of slowly collapsed, which afforded the people on board at least some, I guess, relief from the shock. But nevertheless, it was an amazing moment when I first saw it. I think a lot of people will be wondering, where were you when the Fern Hollow Bridge collapsed? I know one thing, the people on board that bus and on those cars will certainly never forget it. Oh, people around here said that they heard a slow grinding noise and then quiet and then small cries for help from people, and those cries resulted in 911 calls. And in moments, Pittsburgh's emergency service and first responders were on board trying to get those people out of the vehicles that were in question. As the hours wore on, many notables and politicians showed up to view this incredible destruction, many in town for the president's visit. One of those was Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman.
We're the city of bridges. I mean, and how many other are out there? And it's just like these funds are critical to make sure that we're able to provide a safe transportation infrastructure for our residents. And it's jarring to see it up close and personal, how a bridge that you drove on yesterday just collapsed and fell into Frick Park. So we have to make these critical investments, and hopefully, if anything good can come from this, catastrophe here, that we need to make these kind of critical investments in our communities and our nation.
Ken, we talked about the dangers earlier of rescuing those people. We talked about the dangers of looking under that bridge and getting people who may have been in there, fortunately weren't there, out. Now comes an equally dangerous period, because they have to basically take that bridge, which is still, to a certain extent, I think we could say, relatively unstable, it collapsed, and then slowly go about taking piece by piece out of that ravine and not get hurt. It will prove to be an interesting task.
No doubt. You also smelled the natural gas when you got on scene this morning.
That was what really shocked me.
Intense, yeah.
Very intense. And of course, that was, we believe, because a line was ruptured when the bridge collapsed.
Yeah, and there was this large gas leak, and there were fears because of the odor that there might be some sort of explosion, and they did evacuate several families from nearby homes, but the gas company says they had any danger eliminated within about an hour. Now, almost unbelievable, again, that this would happen on a day that the President of the United States had a pre-planned visit to come to Pittsburgh and talk about infrastructure. When this happened, we didn't know what was going to happen regarding the President's trip. The White House quickly confirmed that the President was still going to come to Pittsburgh, not only to his pre-planned visit in Hazelwood, but also come to this scene. And he did that, and he saw the scene for himself.